against America doesn't matter. But we are if not central, then we are a factor in every decision done by every nation in the world. We are not an island. If we were, then I'd probably be more partial to the libertarian point of view about how America should be ultimately isolated from every other country, and our thinking should be isolated from every other country in the world. But that's not realistic. That's not the reality of America or the world at this time. So that's why I like to go over this, to give you an understanding, because the mainstream news media doesn't. They want you to just obey. And they don't want to talk about these stories. They don't want to talk about these consequences. They don't want you to speculate or understand what may be happening down the road because of what is happening right now. They don't want to have that conversation with you. They want you to simply obey. Keep your head down. Don't think about it. It's above your pay grade. Someone else will figure it out. People in government are smarter than you. And that is a lie. Those are a bunch of lies. I have met many people in Congress, in our government over the last 2 decades. I've had interviews with them. I have phone numbers for many of them. I have been in conversations with them privately, off the record. Many people I've been exposed to our government. They are no smarter than the person walking down the street, whether they're in Congress or whether they're in the government or anything else. They're not smart. Elections do not raise up your IQ just because you won. That's not the way it works. And you don't suddenly get to be a rocket scientist when all you were was a bartender. It doesn't. Elections do not convey new knowledge or new wisdom or an expansive understanding of the world. It doesn't work like that. So for people who think, well, the government knows better, no, they don't. No, they often don't. And I have many times done interviews with elected officials, and I've done some of those interviews, you've seen them, where they don't know laws or legislation. In fact, some of the legislation they have enacted, they don't even know as well as I do, or that anyone might. You may recall when New York State was considering red flag laws, I spent 6 months doing an in-depth study of red flag laws as they existed, going back to the very first red flag law and state in Connecticut all the way forward. And I comprehensively had over 200 sources that I put together in it was an 8,000 word document that I presented to the New York State Senate. And it comprehensively explained how red flag laws do not work and the consequences of red flag laws. And then I went and had an interview on the record with several members of the New York State Assembly and presented them this fact, this absolute fact about red flag laws that is never mentioned by the mainstream media. Red flag laws take children from families. This is a fact. It's not a guess. It's not my belief. It is a fact that in every state there is CPS, Child Protective Services. Every state has some version of that. And as part of the mandate in any home that if you are to lose your rights, if the child is unsafe, the state must come into that home and take your children away. If the government has identified you as a threat to yourself and to your community, such that they must suspend your Second Amendment rights to take away your rights without a trial, without a crime, but they are restricting your rights, then that household is too dangerous for your child to be in, according to state law in every single state, especially every state that has a red flag law. Therefore, the state must, it is compelled by state law to take your children away from you, even though you've never been convicted of a crime, even though you've never been accused of a crime. They will come take your children, and you will spend the next year to 2 years fighting to get back your children from the state, as well as trying to get back your firearms if you choose to try and get them back. It will cost you well over $24,000. This was true in 2018. And every member of the assembly, every member of the Senate, state Senate that I spoke with, not one of them were aware of this consequence that had already existed and has been happening in Connecticut, in Indiana, at that time in 16 states that adopted red flag laws. No one understood that because no one ever thought about it, because the news media won't talk about it. I did. Sadly, they voted for it anyway. The answer that I received from members of the New York State Assembly that I spoke to was, well, they'll fix this problem before it becomes law. It did not. They did not fix it. They didn't even try. They just glossed it past and said, well, Mike doesn't have as big an audience as he could. He's not influencing voters. People are still going to vote blue no matter who, so it doesn't matter. Let's keep the problem. Let's take kids away from families without charging any crimes or even accusing someone of committing a crime. Let's just keep taking the children because Connecticut does it, Indiana does it, and none of the major news media in the nation will talk about this story. That's why I do what I do, folks, because I do cover those kind of stories. Okay, so we're going to move forward.